Alright, in this video we are looking at how we can create embedded database using IntelliJ. So this is a project that I have already done, and I will show how the embedded database is created. To create embedded database, there are several servers that you can use, but the one that is very good at embedded database and most people like it is H2. In fact, H2 is very popular when it comes to embedded database. Embedded database makes it easier to carry your database with your program to wherever machine that you want, and it is very good. So wherever you find your machine, whatever machine that you use, you can carry your code on it and the database will just work perfectly. So embedded database is very handy and it is easy to manage. That is why a lot of people create embedded database when they are doing their projects. So I have included embedded database here and I'm going to show how I did it. As I have already said, to follow this tutorial you need to download the H2 file. So in my case, I have the H2 file, already downloaded it, and I've stored it at my drive C users. You see, we have this file here, H2. I open it and then I'll go to the bin folder. So when you want to create embedded database, you have to copy this file. You have to copy this file. You copy it, then you close everything. You come to your IDE, then after creating your project, as I have created my project like this, you will have to create a folder within your project. You create a folder by clicking on the title, then you choose make directory here. Okay, this one is marked as directory. So you create directory, new, we come to new, then directory, this one, new directory, you click on it, then you create your directory. Maybe this one, I'll make it DB1. I've already created a directory called DB, so the next directory should be DB1. Okay, so DB1, then I'll press the enter key. Okay, as I have, you see, we have our folder here. Now the next thing is that you right click on it, then you choose paste, because we have already copied the file inside. You choose paste, you paste it. You see that this is the name of the file. You paste it inside the folder. After pasting it inside, you add the folder as a library to the project. So you come down here and you choose add as library. You add it. I've already added this one over here. See, the same file is inside. So when you are done with this process, you come to the actual code. Now you come to your main method and then you write your code. As usual, database statements are usually in the try block. This one is meant to handle SQL exception. So in case the driver cannot be found, the queries are having challenges, such exceptions need to be handled. So they are always put in the try block. Okay, so after declaring your try block, you come to This is the name of the driver. Class.forName. This one is constant, and you need to put it down before the embedded database will work. This is the name of the driver. Okay. And this one is the URL to the driver. So this one will show the location of the driver. Okay. Fine. All the time we need to create a connection statement in order to connect your database. So this is our connection statement over here. Connection. Your connection is an interface, and then it implements the driver manager.getConnection. Then we pass the username. The username of the database I set is test, and the password is also test. So this will link to my H2 database. Alright. Now I have, after connection, then a statement need to be created. So I have my statement here that has been created perfectly, and then I have instantiated resource set objects over here. Fine. The resource set object will always hold the result in case we are reading data from the database. It has to be stored in the resource set before we can manipulate it. Okay. The next statement here is the create table. See, it is a query, and this query will create the table. So in this database, embedded database system, everything is done by code. So the code will do everything. There is nothing like manual way of creating your own tables or whatever. So the query create table will create table with the table name, table appear, and then it is having an ID, and then the type is varchar, and the size is 20. That is the domain constraint. Okay. And it is not null, means that it will be the primary key. And after that, we have first name field, and it is also varchar with the maximum character length 55 with character length of 255. Okay, so that is the create table query. This is what it will do. It will create a table, and then it will create two fields with an ID field, and then which is a primary key, and then a first name field, just two fields. All right. Then the select query. This one is just a small program to test embedded database, so I didn't include a lot, but most of the features in standard database can be found here, like the create table, select query. Almost all of them are here. So the select query will select from table. So this means that it will select everything from the table. It will select all the fields because we didn't specify any limitation. So select from appear table. Yeah, select from table appear. Everything will be selected. That is why this asterisk is here, indicating everything will be selected. All right. Now we come to the string. This one, as usual, all the queries are strings. Insert into tables. This one will insert records into our tables that we have created. So insert into table appear, ID and first name, values. All right. So the insert query will insert two records. Sorry, it will insert two data into the ID field and then first name. So whenever the insert query is executed, it will insert data into the ID field and then the first name field. Alright. Now, the query drop table will delete existing table. So it reads like drop table and then the specific table name is given. This one will delete the table from the system. Alright. This one is just a Boolean variable I was using to check if the table exists. Fine. Now this is the most important part and we have covered it right now. So let's see how things work by combining them. Here, this statement, I'm using it to check if the table exists. See, it is in the try and catch block. If I execute this statement and then this statement throws exception, it means that the table does not exist. The statement will only throw exception when the table does not exist. This is because this query is selecting everything from the table and it will throw exception when such table doesn't exist. So when it throws exception, then I know that, oh, table exists is false. Alright. So if it is not false, then it means that the table exists. And if the table exists, then I'll execute this query. If the table does not exist, if the table does not exist, then I will execute this query, create table query. Alright. And after everything, at this stage, it means that the table exists. Now, I'm coming to insert data into the fields. In other words, I will insert record into the fields. Yeah, into my table, my database objects. Yeah, the tables are database objects. So I will insert records into my table. Now, at this stage, there are several ways of killing a cat. If you are dealing with a lot of statements, a lot of records, or you want to insert a lot of records into the fields, you need to use the prepare statement because it is easier to go with that. So prepare statement, this one will insert this value at field index 1. These are the first field is 1, it's indexed as 1. So it will insert this value at where I have my ID. And then the second field is where I have my first name. So it is going to insert this data at that field. Okay. After that, then we execute the prepare statement, then we close the statement. Alright. So at this stage, we have created our table, our fields, everything, and then we have inserted this record inside. Now, when you come down here, here is remember this object that we created, the result set. The result set, this is it. So, at this stage, we are using it. So, we use the result set to retrieve data from our table, our database. Yeah. So, result set is equal to statement.execute query. And then we are selecting from the table. See, I've used the select query. So when we have selected all the data from the table, now we want to assign the data that we have pulled to some variables in memory. So we use this statement, if result set.next. It means that if the result set has next, it means if it has a value within it, Then id is equal to result set of get string. Then whatever is at the field I should be stored in id. This is very simple. So the first record in the field, the first record in the id field will be stored inside this variable called id. Alright, then after that we printed the id over here. So we printed the id and then we printed done. So this is all what the program is. Let me run it and we see how things work. Yeah. So as you can see, this is the data that we store there, and then done. It's written. We didn't show the first name, we showed only the ID. That is why we had this record. So our database is well created, and wherever we take our program to, the database will be part of the program. Yeah. Thank you very much for watching. I will say that you have to subscribe so that you will never miss any video that I make. Yeah. Thank you very much.